Hi, I'm Kellyanne Peter, and this is Small Doses, Big Facts, the podcast, the show that creates a safe space to learn and discuss everything life, from relationships to finances, careers, sex, mental health, and everything else in between. No topic is off limits. Are you ready for your small dose of big facts? Let's get into it. I don't need any help. I can do this on my own. Sounds familiar, right? Typical hyper-independent person. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Small Doses, Big Facts, the podcast. In this episode, we will be speaking all about hyper-independence and what that looks like for each of us. Of course, as customary, we'll start with a little definition. Here goes. Hyper-independence is when a person chooses to be independent of everyone even though it may negatively affect them. Or, hyper-independence is a person that is uncomfortable with letting persons or other people assist them with things and are used to doing things themselves. Ouch. Ooh, a little sting there, right? Yeah, that's hyper-independence. A lot of the times we have been told, you need to be independent. You need to learn how to do things for yourself, which is true, right? But how much of independence do we need? And when does it become toxic? Whoa, we're going there, right? We are going there. Signs of hyper-independence. Because it's all well and good to be independent, right? But the minute it becomes absolutely chronic, for lack of a better word, it may or may not become an issue. And so let's just delve into the signs of hyper-independence. The first one is you're a very private person. Everybody's entitled to their own privacy, but to be extensively private, it's one sign of hyper-independence. The second thing is you are a workaholic. Ooh, I feel attacked. The third one is you don't delegate tasks. The fourth one is you have a hard time seeking help. I feel like they're talking to me. Jeez. The fifth one is you're used to doing everything on your own. And the sixth one is you dislike needy people. Now, of course, these are very blanket signs. And if you fall within any one or two of these categories, you can't just recklessly diagnose yourself as being a hyper-independent person. Of course, there are things that are correlated to these signs. Yeah. And so we need to go into the causes of those things because, again, we were raised as independent persons, or we were taught independence. We should not depend on persons to assist us in things, and we need to go out and we need to work and we need to make things of ourselves and make good impressions upon persons as we blossom into adulthood. And all of these things are characteristics of being an adult, right? At least we would think so. And so, really and truly, what causes hyper-independence? I always like to do some research when I do those things. The number one cause of hyper-independence is trauma, past trauma. Let that sink in for a little bit. Because a lot of the times things happen or we act a particular way and we are not able within that moment to pinpoint where these behaviors stem from. These behaviors of wanting to do everything on our own and not liking quote-unquote needy people. We use that word needy very loosely. Being a private person, not wanting anybody in your business, or at least that is how you feel. You feel like, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody. This is my business. This does not relate to anybody else. And as such, they don't need to know. I'm a workaholic. I need to do this. I need to get this done. If I don't get it done, the world's going to come to an end, pretty much. I cannot delegate tasks. For whatever reason, I am not able to allow somebody else to do some mundane task on my behalf while I focus on the grand or bigger picture. We need to find out what causes us to behave in that particular way, what causes us to think those things. And so the number one cause for hyperindependence is trauma, you guys. Trauma, something that has happened to us in the past that caused us to think that I have to do this and everything revolves around me, and without me doing this, everything is done for. And so in my research, it says that you learned that you cannot trust people to show up for you. So you resort to relying on yourself 100% so as not to get hurt again. It's also PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So let's put this thing into perspective. Perhaps you've had an issue with a friend or even a family member where you probably asked them to do something, or you expected them to show up for you in a particular way and they didn't. And that's very disappointing. Anything that you expect to get that does not come to fruition is disappointing. That's natural. However, most times we get over it, we try again, perhaps it happens again, but it does not have so much of an impression upon us and upon our belief and upon our behaviors. It becomes trauma when something happens to you and you cannot move past it without taking that baggage with you. That's when it becomes trauma. And for a person, a regular person, to be hyper independent or to become hyper independent because of something that has happened to them, whether or not you would think that, oh, it's no big of a deal. The point is, it was trauma. And it caused this person to now rely solely on their own habits, on their own efforts, on their own everything. That sounds stressful in itself, if you ask me. But that is what hyperindependence is. And that is what trauma causes. So it goes on to say that the second top cause of hyperindependence is the need to control everything around you. I can absolutely relate to that. And of course, it's not a situation where you don't expect persons to assist you or you feel like nobody's good enough. It's nothing like that. I'll give a prime personal example. For me, within my business, there are a lot of things that I do not have to do, but I choose to do them just absent-mindedly and subconsciously. I don't seek assistance. If I have to do something like perhaps the finances of the business and perhaps the general cleaning or minor admin of the business, I would prefer to delegate my time, or rather adjust my schedule to be able to do all of that on my own rather than finding or seeking assistance that is readily available. It's not that perhaps the personnel or the manpower is not there. It's there, but I'd prefer to do this on my own. Why, you may ask? Probably because I feel like there would be less chance of mistakes if I do it myself. Does it mean that I think that I am perfect? No, but it means simply that this is my business. I know exactly how I want this to go. And in the effort to save time, I am going to just get it done myself, man. There's no need to get somebody to assist me, and then now I would have to perhaps teach them or train them or coach them into doing something exactly how I want to. That is another thing. The need for control sometimes forces you to go into this zone of things have to get done in the way that I would do them, which is a complete lie. A goal can be achieved in a different process. If I'm used to doing something one way, it doesn't mean that that is the only way. Doesn't mean that at all. But I would think, hey, if I do A, B, and C, then I have to get to D. Seems fair, seems right. But perhaps I don't have to go in a sequence. Perhaps my process or my method is not one that is absolutely necessary to take to achieve that goal. And so that's the reason why trying to relinquish ourselves from that need of control would perhaps assist us in hyperindependence. Now, speaking about assisting in hyperindependence and being able to cope with hyperindependence, we have a couple of things that would be able to assist us with that. When I speak about these things, these are things that I go through. These are things that people around me go through. We've had these conversations before, and I'm sure this is something that somebody out there that is listening to me right now has gone through or is going through. I'm here to tell you from one regular person to another that it is normal and it is okay, and we can get through it. We can get through hyperindependence. It is not a disease, neither is it a life sentence. And so, with every single podcast, we are going to focus on solutions. So here we go. Coping and overcoming hyperindependence. After doing some research and going through a plethora of information, I came across this blog called Calm Collective. And it is really how to overcome hyperindependence. And so it says here that the most common problem for someone with hyperindependence is the ability to ask for help. A good way to overcome this is the task, trust, ask model. Task. Give someone tasks to do, even if you don't necessarily need them or need them done. Start with small tasks and build on that. Every big goal starts small. And I think, honestly, that this is a really good way to go. Perhaps, in my opinion, you can call upon a friend or a coworker or a staff member or a family member or somebody and just give them something. Because a lot of the times, let's not forget that the cause, or at least the number one cause for hyperindependence, is past trauma. And so you're carrying this trauma that happened perhaps eons ago, that perhaps one person did to you. And so you're carrying it, expecting everybody to do the same thing. Again, that is normal because it happened to you. And so now you're aware of the possibility of people letting you down and not showing up for you. So in order to retract and to readjust that core belief that has now festered within yourself, you test out, hey, okay, perhaps so-and-so did me wrong, but not everybody is like that. And so let me just try this out with task. We give somebody just a little something to get done and see if the sense of urgency is the same. See if they even do it. The small tasks, if we start with the small tasks, I believe we can build from there. I will challenge myself to do just that. The second one is trust. As that person accomplishes the task, trust is built between you and the said person. Makes sense, right? First, I thought, no one's going to show up for me and I'm all alone. This is just what it's going to be and I'm going to have to just function as a one-man island. And now, I am trying this task trust model. And so I've given Jane Doe something to do. I'm honestly expecting her not to do it. But hey, Jane Doe did it. Perhaps there's something to this. So let's try again. And so you perhaps give Jane Doe something else to do, something more important to you. And see again if the sense of urgency is the same. If Jane Doe keeps her word. And then you build that trust with Jane Doe. Of course, it's a person-to-person basis, not just Jane Doe did it, so now everybody is rid of my core belief of persons letting me down. No, it's just that one person. But guess what, guys? It's better than nobody at all, right? And I'm talking to myself too, so don't think for a minute that I'm saying that this is easy. It just seems doable. And I think that's good enough. The third one, ask. Once trust is built, you will feel more inclined to ask that person to help when you truly need it. Because remember, the tasks that you would have given to Jane Doe would be very minor tasks that are not very important. You don't really need them. You're just testing the waters. And Jane Doe did it. And you ask again. And now you're a little bit more confident in that one person. And so now because of that growing confidence, you now feel that, hey, I can actually trust Jane Doe with doing something of more importance, revolutionary. It sounds just so easy, and perhaps, guys, it may not be very easy. But again, as I said, we are power people, and as long as it's doable, we can do it. So hey, here we are talking about hyper-independence and how we can get through this, Another thing that crossed my research that I felt the need to speak about is egos. A lot of the times, perhaps, yes, it is past trauma, and hyper-independence could be a trauma response. But a lot of the times, or sometimes, it may just be ego, that you feel like, you know what, I know what I want and it's best that I do it. I have read something in the past, somewhere floating on social media, that says, if you want to do something right, you do it yourself. Yeah, probably sometimes. You think all the time though? Not really. And so here it says, from the same Calm Collective blog post, it says, check your ego. You're not always right. That is a fact. It is impossible to be 100% right 100% of the time. Have you ever made solo decisions despite having a team or partner to consult, where consequences were faced? Then you rationalized it as acceptable to prevent the questioning of your autonomy? Have you? Probably I have. But this is not confession, yeah? Let's continue. When you are rationalizing a decision to yourself, you are already having a conversation with your ego. Try checking your ego instead of letting your ego check you. Guys, as much as we may probably not want to admit it, sometimes this is just the case. Sometimes it's not even as serious as past trauma. It's just an ego thing. And yeah, it's a lot. And so here, the author continued to express when your ego checks you, what that looks like, as well as you checking your ego, what that looks like. And there are a couple of examples. I wouldn't delve into many. I'll just go into one. Let's put things into perspective. Perhaps you're at work and you had to do some level of damage control, and you have a team and you chose to do stuff yourself. And so when your ego checks you, it looks like this. I did do all I can. I minimized the damage myself. Could have been worse if I asked for help. When you check your ego, when you take responsibility, it may look like this. Did I really? Maybe I should have asked for help. It would not have been that bad. I should try asking for help next time. Let that sink in. Very typical example. And that is why I felt the need to make mention, because it's something that we go through so regularly, you guys. And so hyper-independence can go very deep. We can delve into hyper-independence and relationships, hyper-independence and friendships, hyper-independence and so many things, and where it can create issues at work, in our relationships, at home, everywhere. But that is for another show. And so here I am signing out, hoping that you enjoyed this episode. See you next time, party people. Over and out. You've just listened to Small Doses, Big Facts. Connect with me on Instagram at Small Doses, Big Facts Podcast. Your reviews are always welcomed. Bye now.